Hey guys, this is David. I said in my last video that I was going to do a breakdown for one of the boss battles in Little Town Hero. Unfortunately, the game is super confusing. I love the game, but I have to admit that fact. And I think the best way to understand is to just kind of watch somebody play through it and have them explain their thought processes and why they decided to make particular moves. So jumping into this is in chapter 6. It's about almost halfway through the game. And I would say that I'm kind of familiar with the game now. I kind of understand most of the mechanics, but I still don't understand the importance of some of the other ones. But the game is becoming more and more rewarding as I'm finally feeling that I'm making good moves on my own ability. So at this part, I'm being chased by a rabid dog. As I'm falling off, I drop one of the power crystals in the water. A monster then comes jumping out. I think this one in particular, his name is Monster Moby. Storyline-wise, we still don't know why the monsters are coming. But this is the first point when we start thinking maybe it has something to do with the crystals. So this is one of the bosses that I beat first try. I picked this one because things kind of worked out. It wasn't me having to refight the boss over and over again, trying to figure out the proper way to fight it. So it's just kind of an easier story of progression to tell, rather than having to show multiple battles. So I'm going to try to explain in depth, especially for people who don't know how this game plays. So one of my biggest complaints about this game is that they try to be too cute and create all these different terminologies for everything. There's like Dazzits and Dazzits and ideas and gimmicks. It's just too much, especially when you're just trying to learn the system. So basically, you just have to know that there are attack cards, there are defense cards, and there are action cards. If you look at the left side of the screen, which is my hand, you'll notice that I've drawn 2 attack, 2 actions, and 1 defense. Red being attack, blue being action, and yellow being defense. You'll notice that each of them have a name and a number. The name is just to basically distinguish them from other cards. They have distinctive properties, so the name kind of ties in them with that as well. The number is basically the amount of mana, if you've ever played Magic the Gathering. None of these cards are active yet, so I'm going to have to spend that many number of points in order to flip them over and make them usable. If you see the little honeycomb looking icon, that's the amount of quote-unquote mana points I have to use. Right now I have a 3 out of a possible 6. At the most, you'll only ever have 6 per turn. So you kind of want to spend them all before your turn is over. But also later on in the game, some of the bad guys can mess with your active cards. So sometimes you may not want stuff to be active. I know it's a lot to keep track of, but just early on, try to use all your points. So if you look at Moby, he has 1 card that's active. It's called Body Slam, and it's a 4/6, which means that it will attack for 4, and it has 6 life. So my goal on any given turn is that I want to clear out all of the enemy's cards, or as the game refers to, break. I want to break all their cards. So looking at this setup now, and I don't actually remember what I did back then, so this is just me thinking how I would play it right now. I have 3 points to spend, and I want to break his Body Slam, which has 6 life. I could activate Destroy, which is only going to cost me 2 points. It has 7 attack, so that will definitely break Body Slam, but it also only has 1 life, which means Destroy is going to break as well, which is not terrible, but I want to try to keep as many cards as I can for the next turn. I also have the option of Firecracker or Improvise. Improvise allows me to pick from 3 other special cards, and Firecracker will do like 3 damage to the selected enemy card. And I can't remember right now because these cards actually upgrade later. So Firecracker can also do damage to the boss, but at this point I think it's just one or the other. But later on when you upgrade it, it'll actually do damage to both. So me right now looking at this setup, I would probably activate Destroy and use it to break Body Slam, which would cause an all break, which is basically just the terminology for when you clear out all the boss's cards in 1 turn. Okay, so let's see what I do. Okay, so I do select Destroy. And I wasn't sure about this before, because again, these cards do upgrade and they change their properties. So at this point, Destroy has a perk where on the turn that I activate it, it actually is invincible. So now when I go to attack Body Slam, it's not actually going to take any damage. So I should still have Destroy next turn, which is outstanding for me right now. Okay, so we break Body Slam, which causes an all break. So when you get an all break, there's 2 options. If you're able to attack, you can attack the boss and do damage. But if you can't, then you can take a BP point. I actually don't remember what the BP points stand for. But the BP point is important. I'll use them probably later in this battle, so I'll explain it when they come up. But just know that the counter is here. This is where you know how many BP points you have. So you might have noticed that it said chance turn also. And I also said that if you can attack. To be able to attack, you have to have a red card that's active or that you can activate. And in this turn I'm lucky because I have Throw, which only costs 1 point to activate. Destroy is an attack card too, but you can only use attack cards once per turn. So I already used it, so I can't use it now to attack. I also can't use defense cards or action cards to do damage in this chance turn phase, which only happens if you get an all break, which is you breaking all of the bad guys' cards. This can be quite frustrating, as sometimes you feel like you're not making any progress. It's like back when volleyball you could only get the point when you were serving, and the game's dragged out forever, so they just changed the rule that you could get a point anytime. But that's not how it works in this game. So I'm going to activate Throw here, and I'm going to do 3 damage to the boss. So now I'm at 9 shield, and he's at 5 shield. So that's a pretty successful first turn. I wiped out his cards, I was able to damage him, and I also have 2 cards ready and activated for the next turn. Real quick, I'm going to go back. If you notice back in the chance turn at the bottom, there's an icon for run. I didn't realize at this time. I thought, why would anybody run when I can do damage? So I didn't realize the importance of it. If you choose run, it will give you free mobility. If I remember correctly, free mobility ends up saving me later in this battle. So you'll see the importance later on. Just keep it in mind. So another issue I have with this game's combat is that early on, the first few turns, there's not much you can do. If you remember the honeycomb icon that allows me to activate cards, I only have 3 points, it's not very much. And it can be quite frustrating in the beginning because you might have the cards you need, but you literally cannot use them because you don't have the points to activate them. So this counter right here at the bottom, every turn it fills up a little bit, and then after 3 turns it actually gives you an extra point. So in 2 more turns, instead of having 3 honeycombs, I'll have 4 honeycombs, but that's still 3 turns away. So I didn't run, and I don't have free mobility this turn, so it's time to roll. So I get a 1, that's kind of crappy, except for that if you look at the map, there's a barrel icon and there's a cannon icon. So these are called gimmicks. And they're special icons that you can activate, provided you have the right card to activate them. Cannon will shoot the boss, but I need Slam to activate it. And the barrel will explode, doing damage to both me and the boss, and killing all our cards in the process as well. And I actually do have Destroy, so I could use the barrel if I wanted to. So I have to make a decision here. I have 2 red cards activated. Do I like my chances with what Moby might draw the next turn? Or do I take the damage to the boss and just start from scratch again next turn? Also, I would keep in mind that I haven't gotten Slam yet. Like the card hasn't come up. So there's a possibility by going the cannon route, I could pull the Slam card and activate the cannon to shoot the boss. The probability is probably pretty low though, considering that the battle just started and I have a lot of cards still in my deck. But this is one of the things that you have to keep track of in the back of your mind. This kind of card counting ability. So you know what cards could be potentially coming up. So the way I would play this now, I would probably forego the Slam chance, because the percentage of me pulling Slam is pretty low. And also I have a full hand, so I would need to use one of my action cards to clear up a space. So I would probably go to the barrel. I still have the option to not activate it. I mean, I don't have to blow everything up, but it's nice to have the option should I need it. So that's probably what I do. I really thought about that one. Okay, so now Moby has drawn 2 cards with special attributes. They're designated by the exclamation point next to them. So initially you're not going to know what they do, but man, it gets really nasty later in the game. Sometimes they're like countdown timers. Sometimes they'll make you take damage. Sometimes they will cause a card to multiply. It's all sorts of messed up. So let's see what these do. So Flatten is 0-4, and its special attribute is turns the opponent Dazzits defense to 1. So it wouldn't matter if it targeted Destroy, because Destroy already has 1 defense. But for Throw, it would make it a 3-1 instead of a 3-2. Sometimes these attributes activate instantly, and sometimes it's when you play a card. So with this one, it didn't happen immediately, so it's probably when I play a card. So when we look at Fountain, So it's going to deal 1 damage to all enemy Dazzits upon becoming a chosen Dazzit. So this means it's going to break Destroy and bring Throw down to 1 health when it comes up next. So I should definitely use Destroy right now, because it's not going to be affected by Flatten, because it's already at 1 health. And if I don't use it now, Fountain is going to break it when it comes up. Oh god, why would I do that? Please don't do that. So apparently I'm considering using the large barrel. Remember, I can only activate it with Destroy. So if I don't use it now, then I'm not going to have Destroy to use it later. So actually it's kind of smart that I'm considering this at least. Just weighing all my options. But the problem with this move is that he's going to lose 5 health, I'm going to lose 5 health, and we're both not going to have any cards left. it would bring up an all break for me, except I don't have any red cards to attack the boss with. There are ways for me to possibly get a red card, but I don't know if that's the best strategy right now, and I don't know if I could actually pull it off. So I have no clue what I do here, so let's just see. Okay, wow, so I opted to use the barrel. So the good thing about this move is that it's going to take down Moby's shield to where his heart is exposed. Everybody only has 3 hearts, and you just need to hit the heart to take it out. It doesn't matter if you hit it with a 9 or a 1, you just need to do damage to it to take it out. So I probably did this to expose the heart. If it were me now, I'd try to find a way to get an attack card first before exploding the barrel. Because I'm going to get an all break here because I'm going to break all his cards. And if I could get an attack out of it, that means I would take out one of his hearts, which would be fantastic 2 turns into this battle. So apparently I got a BP point earlier. I didn't realize, but another one of the attributes for destroy is that when you use it and it breaks one of the enemy's cards, you actually get a BP point for that. I didn't know at the time, and I didn't even realize now. But had I known that, I probably should have used destroy to break flatten, thereby getting another BP point, because I had plenty of action points on this turn, and I had plenty of other options to get rid of fountain, which would have saved me from taking damage. Also, throw would be still active, and I'm pretty confident I still would have been able to get an all break using a different method. But just early on when I was playing this game, I was so focused on doing damage, I could probably only see 1 or 2 routes, so you just take the most obvious one. And that was probably very sloppy considering that I just broke all my cards and did damage to myself in order to do damage to Moby. So yeah, since I got an all break but can't attack, I now get another BP point. Again, I'll explain it later when I actually use them. But now we have 2 BP points. And don't forget that we took damage on the barrel too. So we're down to 4 shield and Moby's heart is exposed. Okay, so next turn. Oh yeah, and don't forget we're 1 more turn away from having an extra honeycomb. Okay, so I roll a 4 and I come to this branching path. I can either take a spot with nothing or the spot with the barrel. The barrel won't do any good though this turn because I don't have destroy anymore, so I can't activate it. So the choice is more about which area of the map I want to go to. So I zoom out and I see Andgard over there. That's probably why I'm going this direction. I want to try to land on his square so that I can use his ability. So turn 3, we've got Body Slam and Water Gun. Again, Water Gun has a special attribute. What does it do? Okay, so before we can find out that, I forgot. This one had a little yellow exclamation point on it. That means there's a townsperson on this tile. They're going to give me an idea, which is a card specifically for this battle only. It doesn't show up in other battles. It's usually just to combat this particular boss. And this guy is going to give me Bitter Ball, which I have no clue. I can't remember what this does. To be honest, I probably never used it. It's an action card and it costs 5. Right now, I don't even have the action points to activate it. Remember, we're only at 3 honeycombs right now. So thank goodness that card is going into my deck. Oh right, and Water Gun is going to do 1 damage to all my Dazzits upon becoming a chosen Dazzit. Okay, so the thing is, it's chosen right now. But I don't have any active Dazzits, so there's nothing for it to do damage against. So out of luck or coincidence, that barrel explosion kinda actually worked out. So I have Improvise and I have Firecracker. They both only cost 1. I'm probably going to use one or the other. So apparently I thought about using Tight Guard for a while. So the good thing about defense cards is that you can use them multiple times in 1 turn. I could have used it to block Water Gun, and it would have broke it as well too. Because if you notice, it says +1/+0 when made into a Dazzit. So that means it would be a 3/7 instead of a 2/7. So the 3 would take out Water Gun's 3 health. And even though Water Gun does 4 damage, Tight Guard has 7 health, so it would survive with 3 health remaining. But then it wouldn't be able to take out Body Slam. It would still do 3 damage, but Body Slam has 4 health. Tight Guard wouldn't break either because Body Slam does 2 damage. Tight Guard would still have 3 health left over. So if I put it up against Body Slam, it would end up with 1 health left. And that wouldn't do us any good because we're going for all breaks. Because right now I really want to take out one of these hearts. Notice also that if I go with Tight Guard, it uses up all 3 honeycombs. So I wouldn't be able to perform any other actions this turn. So I actually do go with Improvise. And I have the options of Kapow, Safeguard, and Boom. So Improvise gives you these random sets. I don't know how the game decides to give you certain sets, but I'm pretty sure these 3 always come together. So Kapow is a 4/4 that will add +1/+0 to all my cards when I activate it. I'm not going to use it because remember, attack cards can only be used once, and since it costs 2, it will take up my remaining honeycombs. Also, I don't have any cards active, so the +1 bonus is wasted. Safeguard is great because it doesn't cost anything, and it adds +1 to all the life of my cards. But it's only a 3/1, so it's not really going to do anything for me this turn. because remember, I need a 4 to break Body Slam. So I end up going with Boom, because Boom will just break the enemy's chosen Dazzit. It only costs 1 to activate, so that will leave me just enough honeycomb points to use both Boom and Firecracker. So obviously in this situation, I want to use Firecracker against Water Gun. Firecracker only does 3 damage, Water Gun has 3 life. If I used it against Body Slam has 4 life, so it wouldn't break it. And then obviously I would save Boom for Body Slam. Body Slam has 4 life, and Boom would just break it regardless. But like an idiot, for some reason, I've selected Boom, and I'm going to use Boom on Water Gun. Great. So that's a huge mistake on my part here. I could have gotten through this turn with an All Break, and even though I don't have an attack card activated, I would have at least still gotten a BP point out of it. Because remember, you get a BP point if you get an All Break and can't attack. So I can't tell right now. Maybe I've realized my mistake. So one thing that happens a lot in this game, you'll realize you could have made a different move. A significantly better move, and it's really a huge gut punch because there's no taking back a move or save state. Each battle is its own, and you've got to finish it all the way. But that's a discussion about the difficulty in this game, and it's something that I probably will address in a video sometime. So back to the battle at hand. There's no reason for me to use Firecracker because it's not going to break Body Slam, so I might as well save it up for another turn with a different card. Also, I've noticed that this is the upgraded version of Firecracker. So not only does it do 3 damage to an enemy card, it also does 3 damage to the enemy's shield, or as they call it, guts. So that makes another reason why I shouldn't use it now, because it's only going to damage the shield, and since the boss has no shield right now, it's basically like wasting that ability. So that may be why I didn't use it earlier. I think Firecracker might also be random in deciding which card it uses it against. So those may be factors on why I played this hand so poorly. Again, this is one of the reasons why I think people have been frustrated with this game. There's so many things to keep track of, so many different changes, so many numbers and so many status effects. It's frustrating because sometimes you'll make the wrong move and you can't go back. You just have to live with it and try to struggle on. But trust me when I say this, in this game there's always another way. That's part of the brilliance of the design, is that they just leave so many paths. But you gotta stick with it in order to learn how to see those paths. So perfect example. So right here I've pulled the Slam card. Remember, I can use Slam to activate the cannon. So from now on I should be aware of the cannon tiles. But if you also notice in the description, Slam also has a Pierce effect now. It didn't used to, but I think this is an upgraded version of it. So Pierce is basically the trample effect in Magic the Gathering. It's that even if you block the attacking card, any excess damage will still go through. So take for example here, if I activated Slam right now against Body Slam, it wouldn't do anything because I do 4 damage, it has 4 health, so it cancels out perfectly. But if I put it up against a card that has less life, all that difference is going to go directly to the boss, even if they have other cards active. And then just keep in mind that you have different modifiers. You can dramatically jack up the attack of your card, and then activate the Pierce effect and just wreak havoc. For the later, more difficult bosses, Pierce becomes absolutely essential. But at this point, I don't think I even used it this battle, and I definitely didn't understand the importance of it, and how it could make my life so much easier. Because with Pierce, remember, it's giving you a way to do damage to the boss without having to go through all the complications of getting an all break. Okay, so now the BP points kind of come into play. I'm kind of stuck. I don't want to use Firecracker, but I'm looking for another way to break Body Slam this turn. I need to do 4 damage. So I can go into my deck and look through my cards remaining. If I want to use a BP point, I can actually just swap one into my hand. But I have to be careful because the cost of using this action doubles every time I use it. So next time it'll cost me 2 BP points, and then so on and so forth. So looking through my hand, there's nothing that can save me. Remember, I only have 1 honeycomb, so I can only swap it out with something that has 1 activation cost. So that leaves Pelt and Psych Up. Psych Up will add points to either your attack or your defense on all your cards. I can't remember which one specifically. Pelt is a great, fantastic card. It does 1 damage to all of the cards that the bad guy has. But seeing as how Moby only has 1 card right now, and I need to do 4 damage, there's no reason to spend the BP to bring it in. So I'm probably not going to do anything with this swap out mechanic. Also, I'd like you to take notice, there's a little icon here called Revive Ideas. That's going to come into play later, so just know that it's in this menu. So I've still got Tough Out and Firecracker. Tough Out is the opposite of Psych Up. So again, that's not going to do any good. So right now I'm weighing my options. I could use Firecracker, but because it's an action card, I'll still have to face off against Body Slam. And since I don't have any cards active, and I have no way to activate any cards, I'm just going to hang on to it and hope that it can come into play later. So when you're out of moves and you have no options, there's this option called struggle. So you just end up taking the damage. So there's a 50-50 chance that you can do damage back to the card. At this point, my struggle has been upgraded, so there's a chance of it doing 2 damage instead of 1. So lucky me, it does 2 damage to body slam, and I'm going to take the 2 damage that body slam does. So it's not a great turn. I took damage. I wasn't able to take out Moby's exposed heart. I wasn't able to get an all break either. But in some good news, I now have 4 honeycombs. So that should give me a little bit more wiggle room in what I'm able to do each turn. So we're going to roll again, and I'm going to get a 3. So this is a great roll because either way I run into a towns member. And not just any towns member, 2 of the best towns members. On the one hand, I can run into Matlock, who does 5 damage to the boss and their chosen card. Or if I go the other way to Angard, he can do 3 damage to all the enemy's cards. Either choice is good, but I probably go with Angard because I only need to hit Moby with something small to take out a heart. And 5 damage from Matlock's shebang move is a much bigger chunk I'd like to save for the boss's shield. Also, I kind of want to save that move as a wild card in my back pocket for later. So I'd probably go with Angard. And I do. So one thing that happened to me a few times in this game is that I would land on a tile with the townsperson. And through all the analysis and counting cards and analyzing moves, trying to decide the best course of option, I actually forgot to use the townsperson's special move more than a few times. So I hope this is not one of those times. Okay, so I jump in, there's Angard. This is turn number 4. Oh boy, so we've got a 2-2 body slam and a 5-7 body slam. Yeesh, that is not pretty. And I've pulled Bitter Ball, which is completely useless. Not because the card is useless, I actually don't remember what it does. But it takes 5 to activate, and I only have 4 right now. So I couldn't activate it even if I wanted to. And if I did want to activate it, it better be a hell of a card because it's going to take up all my honeycombs. So again, that would mean I couldn't make any other moves this turn. Okay, just out of curiosity, I went to Bitter Ball. It breaks 1 random Dazzit and adds +0/+3 to your own random Dazzit. So that means I would have no control on which one it broke on their side. It would be great if it broke 5-7 body slam, right? But because it's random, it might break 2-2. And I don't have any active cards, so that +3 wouldn't help me at all. Yeah, so this is probably why I don't remember using Bitter Ball at all. The cost is so high and you have to be in such a very specific situation. I'm actually really curious how I handle this. Okay, Tight Guard, Firecracker. I've just noticed that I still haven't activated Angard yet, which is kind of a worrying sign because... did I forget about him? Why wouldn't I have just activated him? He would do 3 damage to each of these cards right now. Body Slam would be dead, and the other Body Slam would be down to 4 health. Oh dear, oh boy, what am I going to do? Nope, Slam is not going to do anything against... oh, Slam! Okay, so I can guarantee you, I am not smart enough to use Slam at this point in the game. So right now, in my current state, looking back on the old me playing this game, I could forego the Angard method and use Slam against 2-2 Body Slam. Because remember, when I activate Slam, it will activate Pierce for this turn only. And because Slam does 4 damage and Body Slam only has 2 health, I could effectively pierce the boss for 2 damage, which would take out one of its hearts, which I've been trying to do for the last 2 turns. And I wouldn't have to get an all break to do it, so there's no pressure for me to try to take out 5-7 Body Slam this turn. Also, I could save Angard for a future pass, because chances are there's still a few more turns left in this match, and I could potentially end up in this part of the map again. But I can pretty much 100% guarantee you that I do not use Pierce against this boss. I would be willing to put money on it, because my mental understanding of this game was just not at that point yet. Okay, so let's see what kind of cockamamie idea I come up with. Okay, so I'm going to block it with Tight Guard. I just want to block it so I don't have to take damage. Tight Guard gets a +1 when activated. So it's now a 3-7. Neither card is going to break, but I've blocked his card and kept myself from taking damage, so that's good. And Tight Guard is still usable either this turn or if I save it for next turn, I can use it then as well. So what now? How do I deal with 2-2 Body Slam? Okay, so I use Tough Out. That's going to give me +0/+2 on all my active cards, and it's also going to refresh an idea as well. So there you go, Tight Guard gets 2 health back, and I get charged now to take the place of Tough Out. Okay, so that's not bad actually, because I wouldn't have been able to use Slam because of the 2 cost. I only had one, so it was a toss-up between Firecracker and Tough Out, and it looks like Tough Out might actually work out for me. So I'm going to use the recently re-healed Tight Guard to block 2-2 Body Slam. At this point, I didn't use Guard. I'm probably trying to save him for later, or I might have just forgotten. It's good because Bodyguard is now broken, and I still have Tight Guard in some form, so I have something to block next turn. So we're going to roll again, and we get a 2. So we land on a barrel, but it doesn't matter, we don't have Destroy, so we can't activate it. Oh man, ouch, look at this mess we've walked into now. It's a whole lot of cards with a whole lot of status effects. This is not going to be pretty. I'm probably going to take a lot of damage this turn. So they'll always start off with the enemy's action card first. This one would be Whirlpool, and it's going to do, adds penalty effect to all enemy ideas till the end of turn. Ugh. So this means it's going to affect any of my active cards right now. And if I use any of those active cards this turn, it's going to actually damage me, I think. So luckily I only have one card active, but man, yeah, that's a nasty, nasty effect. Oh, never mind, it gets worse. It actually affects any cards that I have, even if they're not currently active. Okay, and here comes Flatten. It's a 0-4, but it turns opposing Dazzits defense to 1, so Tight Guard's going down 1. Okay, so it doesn't actually affect it immediately. It only affects the card that's opposing it. So whichever card I actually choose to block it with. So Flatten is a really weird card because it's 0-4. That means it doesn't do any damage. So I could put up a card against it and have the card go down to 1 health. Or I could take the 0 damage myself and hope that Struggle would do 2 damage to it. Because remember, it's a 50-50 on whether I do damage to the card or not. So I actually don't need to be scared about Flatten, because it's only going to take down the card to 1 health if I actually put the card up against it. But at this time, I don't think I realize it. And yeah, I'm going to use Firecracker. So yeah, I definitely don't realize that. Okay, so this is a terrible move because I just wasted Firecracker completely. It did damage to Flatten, which is now a 0-1. And then on top of that too, it didn't do any damage to the boss's guts. So that's another wasted attribute. Okay, so now I'm going to use Tight Guard to block the other Flatten. And it's got a penalty, so I think I'm going to take damage here afterwards. Okay, so the penalty is actually on the card. The card takes 1 damage. See, that's what I mean about this game. This is where all the frustrations come in. There's so many different rules and effects. This card does this in this situation. It's a huge mess. And I know that's why people got frustrated playing this game. Because it's so much to learn. It's so much to understand. And you're constantly making mistakes. Not just in the game moves, but in the comprehension of the game as well. But all I can say is there's always another way. Even if you make a mistake, there's 5 other ways to get through it. And I think you'll see that in the rest of this battle. So yeah, even though Firecracker hit this Flatten earlier, the card still gets a turn to attack. I really should just use the Struggle option and take the 0 damage. And then take the 50-50 chance of doing damage to the card, which would then break it. The worst case scenario here would be for me to use Tight Guard to block it, because then I'm going to take the penalty damage and Tight Guard's going to break. Yeah, and that's exactly what I do. I use my card to block 0 damage, and thereby sacrificing the card. Like, you see now what I mean by experience? I've also said that this game is a puzzle game, and the solution of this battle is for you to realize that those cards do 0 damage. You can just take them. Why waste your cards on trying to block cards that aren't going to do anything? I didn't have the realization at this time. I'm just seeing a bunch of cards and instinctively throwing my cards at them to block them, which obviously makes this battle a lot more difficult. Okay, so now it kind of gets bad because I've wasted a lot of my cards and some of my honeycomb points blocking the 2 weakest and most useless attacks. And now here come the 2 biggest ones. One of them has the status effect that's going to drain the opposing card down to 1. So at this point in the making of this video, I realized that this video is going to end up running for like an hour and a half. The entire boss battle actually takes me 40 minutes. I'm only a third of the way through. As you can see, I still haven't done any damage to his hearts yet. And I'm making some key mistakes in this boss battle that are going to add significant amounts of playtime to this. Originally, and I still do want to keep the mistakes in, because that's the best way to explain why a move is bad and what's the better move. But I think if I ended up finishing this entire commentary, it would be like an hour and a half long video, and most people are not going to watch this. So for now, I'm just going to end this video. I think I've covered the main parts of the combat that cause people so much trouble and frustration. To recap, number 1, it's that the learning curve is too huge. There's too many systems, too many names. too many cards with too many abilities. It's just so much to keep track of. Hopefully this video kind of gave you an idea. For me, I'm somebody who has a hard time learning by reading text on a screen. So the number 2 point is that there's always a better move. The game gives you so many options, so many ins and outs. It's just your lack of experience. That's what's not allowing you to see a way out of the situation. And that's frustrating because you can't really teach that. I think a lot of this game was learn on your own. It's not like other card games where there's a community and you play each other, and through the enjoyment of playing each other, you gain experience. You see other people and what moves they make. This is just kind of a standalone experience that once you're done with, all your skills and learned abilities are basically useless. And I guess number 3 would be every encounter has some sort of gimmick. So like I said, I think this game is kind of a puzzle game. So for this battle specifically, it's the realization that flatten does 0 damage. So while the enemy has a bunch of cards on screen, and it's intimidating and overwhelming, look at all these things I have to deal with, once you realize that that card is kind of a non-factor, I think the boss battle becomes much easier. So yeah, I guess that's it. I could talk endlessly about this game. There's so many things to break down. I still want to do something else with this video, but who knows what that'll be. I actually started this video back in 2020 when I just beat the game, and I'm only just now finding a way to finish it. Alright, thanks guys, take care. Bye. Slam the cannon, it's game over, baby. It's game over, comeback! Fucking shit, comeback! How did I fucking do it, dude? I don't know, I just do it. I don't know how to do it, dude, fucking seriously. How? How can?